At the time of this recording, I have written 257,707 words, written and tracked in 2024. This is the first year that I have a cumulative word count total for the entire year, and it's only because I made it a habit to write down what I did, how many words I wrote, every day that I wrote for the entire calendar year. In an attempt to track exact data and also honor the amount of work and effort, the amount of hours that go into this craft, this is my daily word count tracker. This is just a really basic table that I made in Google Drive. Each column is a day. Each day has all 24 hours listed in it. I do most of my sprints in 25 or 55-minute increments, which gives me a perfect half hour or hour to work with. I generally like to track by the hour. And so any hour that I get any amount of writing, even if I'm not working the whole hour, even if I only write 10 minutes, I write down how much I wrote in that hour block because it lets me know what time of day I'm most active and most productive. I don't have enough data yet to track when my best writing hours are, but that is what I'm working on. I am trying to develop an understanding of my best time of day to write. I have a lot of theories about when that might be, but I'd like to see what the data says because I might be wrong. So every day I am tracking sprints throughout the day, and as soon as I am done with a writing sprint or writing session, I am writing down the word count immediately when I get to the top of the hour, or as quickly as I can remember. So this is how I use it. The week goes at the top. I'll write down dates for each day. I'll track word counts in each hour slot. I will write 0 during a session when I didn't get any words, but I did work. I want to honor the effort that was made. When the day is finished, I total it at the top, and this is what goes into my planner. October 6th through October 12th, October 6th through October 12th. Now for my long-term data collection, what I'm doing when I finish a week is I am identifying how many sessions I wrote during this hourly time slot, in this case twice, or here once, and then writing the cumulative total during that session. So the first number gives me a pretty good idea of how often I am working during that time slot. I am going to be careful about these statistics as I examine them because I know that amount of words is not the ultimate defining characteristic of a good session for me. It's very hard to feel like you're moving forward during the editing process because very little is additive. So as I go forward, I'm going to try to develop some other ways of notating when I feel like a session went particularly well for me, when I was editing or when I was ideating. So these daily word counts do make it into my planners. Last year, my Hobonichi. In 2025, it'll be in my Sterling Ink Common Planner. I do keep another yearly sprint tracker in my project planner, just to have it in my archive because it's going to be a lot easier to save 5 years of these papers than it is going to be to save 5 planners and then open and examine each planner just to find the yearly stats. So it's important for me to keep those stats with my yearly planner, but I also want a secondary copy for my archive. This paper, by the way, I'm pretty sure I downloaded it off the Passion Planner website, if anyone is interested. Yearly Overview version 2, large. I also do make a note monthly of indicating not just what the total word count is for the month, but how many days of the month I wrote. And you can see my progress over 2024 improving as I was really focused on establishing writing as a regular habit. 11 days, 9 days, 13, 6, 8, 21, 13, 27, my best month this year, 23, 17, haven't done the final calculations. I actually need to go in and fill some of this in as well. It is genuinely encouraging to see these results. If I'm thinking of my writing as something that exists in a cycle of activity, this helps me reckon with that cycle. There are absolutely times where you don't write for a month. And then there are times where you write 100,000 words in 1 month. Consistency is a future goal, but in order to be consistent, I had to understand where I was starting, where I was coming from. I had to develop an understanding of what I could expect from myself at a minimum, even when I wasn't setting a goal for myself. That's the other really important thing about this system. I haven't quite figured out how to integrate goal setting with it, because so far what I care about is understanding what I'm doing and what I'm capable of, and of developing a standard that I might hold myself to, rather than creating a blind expectation and trying to live up to that. And honestly, 1 year is not enough. I would love to have years of this data. And I'm going to, because writing is hopefully going to be a lifelong career. And so even in 10 or 20 years, I think I'm going to be really grateful to have these stats this year. I regret the fact that I did not keep better stats and that I did not track my writing more in my 20s. I really genuinely regret that, because I feel like I've lost so much data, so much information on myself. Because I'm not the best judge of what I've gotten done. I tend to do a lot and then immediately forget. I will open my Google Drive and I will find projects that have been sitting there for 5 years that I put 50,000 words into and then completely forgot existed. Tracking any of this information is a mindfulness exercise. It requires you to be present in a way that is very difficult for me, for someone with ADHD. But that doesn't mean it's impossible, and if anything, my ability to attend to this kind of stuff has improved because I've worked on it. So it's really boosted my confidence more than anything else. I went into this year with no intention of setting a word count goal. I did not have a target number I wanted to reach. I still don't think I'm going to set a target number for me to reach in 2025, because I think what I'm focusing on, despite the fact that I'm tracking all of these words, I'm not really focused on word count as the goal. I'm focused on moving the story forward. I'm focused on telling the story. I'm focused on the ultimate aim of the project, which is to make progress. It is also easier to hold myself to a standard that includes myself in it, right? To compete with myself, to compete with my past self, to lean into my future self, rather than trying to compete with a stranger online, trying to compete with a published author, trying to compete with someone who's already out there doing their thing, doing their own thing, which is different from my thing. And you shouldn't be comparing yourself to my words either. I had some months that I would consider bad for me, right? I wrote fewer than 3,000 words in a couple of months. That could be one good day. I could write this many words in a single day, and I spread it out over an entire month. I'm not super proud of these months. And it's much easier to look at these numbers when I'm also looking at these numbers that I'm a little more proud of. And this number, which came out of nowhere, it's about 10 times what I wrote the previous month. I didn't expect it. I didn't set this goal for myself, but it happened because I was capable of it, because I did it. I did it. I proved I can do it. I can do it again. I can keep doing it. This reinforces my goals. This keeps me on the path of examining things less critically. Because if you're tracking things like a data scientist, you can't come to a conclusion too early, right? You can't say, oh, I suck at this, before you actually have all of the data you need to support your argument. Ultimately, the data is going to prove that you're human and that sometimes you struggle and you have a really bad time, and sometimes you have a really good time. It's very easy for me to fall into the trap of judging my writing output based on one bad day where I have a meltdown, something goes wrong, I don't feel like I can do it. And then I look at this and then I say, oh, on the long term scale, one day means very little. And tracking words for an entire year really helps you keep a healthy perspective. I would have been miserable if I set myself a goal to write 30,000 words or 50,000 words in a month during these months. But then the joy of having these 4 months in a row after the rest of the year I'd had, unparalleled. So if you'd like to track your writing for the entire year in 2025, this is what I recommend. First, make a really basic template. I'm tracking every single hour in the day because that just makes sense for me and my weird sleep schedule. Each hour that I write, I stop, I check in, I write down the word count. This is always going to visually be present when I am writing. At the end of the day, I total the word count. At the end of the week, I total the words for the week and I add up which time slots I wrote and how many cumulative words I wrote between the hours of, say, midnight and 1 a.m. When I have my daily word counts, I will write them in my yearly word count tracker. And at the end of each month, I will total up how many days I wrote and how many words I wrote. So that is what I am doing to track my word counts in 2025. If you have any other great frameworks, systems, tracking intentions, plans, or goals, especially related to writing, please feel free to share them with me in the comments. I'm always really interested in peeking behind the curtain at other people's processes, so I'm definitely going to be talking a lot more about my own writing process, about my writing planning, about my writing intentions, about my goal setting, and a lot of the lifestyle and planning system stuff surrounding my creative projects. So, good luck to all you writers out there in your 2025 goals. I believe in you. Don't be too hard on yourself. And I hope you all have a great year of writing. For now, I'm keeping every hour in the schedule just because I don't like the idea of taking them out. I listed every single hour in the day because I can't be trusted. Frankly, I'm as surprised as you are that I was able to track all of this information all year. I'm actually really proud of myself.